In this video, I'm going to go over exactly how you're going to get more qualified leads for your business in the next 24 hours. I promise you, if you follow everything that I'm about to go over and teach you, you're probably going to be DMing me right afterwards and say, Jasmine, you actually saved me. How can I pay you? But anyway, before getting into all of that, how do I know this stuff works? Is because over the past 3 years, I have generated over $5 million for my clients. I've ran both the sales and marketing departments over a few different info companies and service-based businesses when it comes to content marketing, ad agencies. On top of that, done for you, e-com, coaching, business coaching, etc. At least the list goes on. But I know this process works, and I always am actively in it to make sure that it always is working. With that being said, let's go ahead and hop right into the video, right? So when it comes down to what you need in terms of attracting more qualified leads for your business, really, and I'll tell you this, a lot of people say that I don't want to run ads, I don't want to run ads. Well, first off, let's start with content. The whole difference between ads and content is ads can get you leads like right then and there, right? Content, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer to get those leads, but it still can come. First thing I want to talk about first, though, is content, right? Because that is really the backbone of this whole thing. And there are two methods when it comes to this in terms of attracting qualified leads. It's two methods, right? And then it all starts from a starting point. So first and foremost, you really need to think about your offer. And why I say this is because you don't want to run ads if you don't have your offer dialed in. And when you're thinking about your offer, you want to think about your ICP, which is your ideal client profile, right? So really this comes down to defining your offer, who exactly you help, right? And let's just talk about it. Who do you help? What do you do? Right? And then maybe how soon, right? How soon can you get those results for them? And then also you need to know the opposite of this. So who you don't help, what you don't do, and what's the reality of you not getting those results in that time, right? You need to actually be realistic with all of these. And then your offer needs to have a strong guarantee, right? I didn't mention that, but it does need to have that. Why I say this, especially if you're running a B2B offer, it has to have a guarantee behind it. Even with B2C, with consumers, it's going to be so much easier if you do because consumers are more emotionally bought in. So if you have that type of guarantee attached to it, it makes them feel much more comfortable investing. Same thing with business owners. If you have that strong guarantee, it makes them feel like, okay, well, if not, I get this and this in return. Even if it's time, if it's money, those things equate, and those things both offer more value to what you have to offer. Now, why I say it's so important to know who you don't help, what you don't do, and what happens if you don't achieve it and how soon, because this is something that even when I started my offer, it's more like I had to realize, wow, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, right? So there were very unclear expectations. And so when you're running a business and you're doing too much, that defeats the whole purpose of you having a price point, right? And that defeats and maybe you can do, maybe you're multifaceted, right? But you don't want to be multifaceted in your offer because you're going to lead to burnout, which is my whole point. Sometimes I ramble a little bit. With that being said, though, define your offer, right? Your offer, who you help, which is your ICP. It's going to be your ideal client profile, fancy term for a target audience. But the way I speak is the way that you should speak, right? So if you're a business owner watching this and you're just starting your business, don't say target audience, say ICP, because you want to sound as sophisticated as possible. That way, when you're speaking to people, when you're in a room with individuals, they perceive you as such, right? And this is how you should how you should want to be perceived, right? And I don't cut this up for a reason because I need you guys to actually get real with me, see me for who I am, etc. Right? So with that being said, who you help, which is your offer. So if I'm running a business coaching offer, which I kind of sort of am, but if I'm running a business coaching offer, and let's just say, but my business coaching offer is, everyone does freaking fitness coaches. I'm going to do e-com coaches. So let's just say I have an e-com coaching business, but I teach other e-com coaches how to scale their e-com coaching business, right? Maybe I do that. But in there, I'm not going to take on every single ecom coaching business. Maybe I want to start with beginner ecom coaching business. Maybe I want to start with mid-level. Maybe I want to start with people that are already doing 100K a month and how to actually maybe scale that to where they last long. Because the big thing in the info space is you might blow it for a year and then you just lose momentum after that. That's a huge thing. That's literally what happens. They monetize, and they burn out and they stop. Right? So anyway, if I'm an ecom business coach, I help. If it was me, I help. We're going to put the whole purpose of this explanation. I help ecom coaches stuck at 10K, then scale them to, let's say, 50K in 90 days, right? Very solid offer. And my guarantee behind it, which we'll get into that, but yeah, so anyway, I help ecom coaches stuck at 10K scale to 50K in 90 days, right? And that's kind of just, I really just checked out what I do, how soon, right? I already did that. My whole purpose in doing this though, is because if someone is under 10K, I'm not going to work with them. If they're over 50K, sure, I could help you because I'm probably doing 100K per month right now, but you're not in my ICP. And maybe there's bigger problems to deal with when they're past 50K, which is why me as an ecom business coach, I don't want to deal with those problems with my coaching offer. I just want to deal with the problems that I know are super simple to fix. They just don't have the knowledge for it. So what they're paying for is knowledge, they're paying for speed, and they're paying for really just quality, right, of their service in terms of what they're doing. So I want to deal with these problems. I don't want to deal with 50K plus problems. I want to deal with these problems, right? And that's how you can structure your offer, which is why I said it's super important for you to know who you don't work with and who you help, who you don't help, what you do and what you don't do, because I don't want to deal with those issues that are past 50K a month. Be very clear on your offer. Now, how soon is very important, because if you're a person that says 90 days for anything, they love you. 90 days or less, you're going to get many more leads than a person that says 180 days will get. Then they're going to actually question you on what's your guarantee, because the reality of you saying 90 days, 3 months is actually a little bit crazy to scale someone like that. But it's not that crazy, right? It's if you can do it, then you can do it. If you have the knowledge, you have the systems, you have the team, you can do it, right? But sometimes people are just like, oh, okay, that doesn't make any sense. So you have to, that's why you have this guarantee. You have the strong guarantee. So what you can do is, your guarantee would be, and in this case, the smartest guarantee would really be work with you for free, right? So then I'm going to say, or we work with you for free. That's probably what we're going to say in that case. And then from there, it's, I can get people, because then it's like, okay, well, what's the worst case? What's the worst thing that we do? I work with you for free. But then I have so many different testimonials, so many case studies, and you don't have to have too much, but then you have people that you've helped, and then they're like, oh, okay, this checks out. I don't need to scale. I mean, if I keep waiting and nothing's going to happen, you also address all those different pain points in your VSL, whatever you have, right, to do that. Another thing, VSL is your video sales letter. So it's going to be something that the video on your landing page, on your funnel, whatever the case may be, that explains your offer, your service, etc. Right? So this is the first thing that you need to have dialed in first to attract better leads. If you don't have your offer dialed in, you're going to be making pain points, saying stuff in your content, whatever the case may be, that doesn't even resonate with really what your offer is. And then you need to start breaking down in terms of what the pain points are of your target audience, and get very specific, which is why I got super specific. I didn't say I'm a business coach that can help. I probably can help other types of industries scale. But I whenever ecom coaches, because 9 out of 10, if you can help an ecom coach scale, you probably help a trading coach scale, because they have the same type of target audience, right? ICP. So with that being said, this is super specific. It's saying how soon, and the guarantees work with you for free. That's the first thing that you need to have dialed in before you start talking about, anything else in terms of, okay, client acquisition, right? You need to have that dialed in first, because if you don't, then you're going to deal with bigger problems, and you're going to probably waste money on ads. And the other thing is, what's most important to me over money is time, right? You're going to waste your time with content because of the fact that you didn't have your offer dialed in. And how do I know this? Because I personally went through it myself. So with that being said, next thing is going to be your content, right? I'm going to get to nitty gritty in just a second, which is, I know you guys want to get to the ads, but you guys need to actually watch this entire video, because if you skip any parts, you're going to miss the actual infrastructure for how to get qualified leads. So let's get into the content, right? When it comes to content, first off, let me tell you something, right? And I'll get a little bit off rubric really quick. But when it comes to your content, you need to have these 3 things. Because once you have your offer dialed in, content is how you naturally attract people, and then you have stuff after that. But if you're focusing on, first off, you need to figure out what are your channels, right? What is your traffic system? Is it content? Is it outbound? Is it ads? I can get to outbound all day. I don't rely on outbound. I tell people all the time it's ads, then content to nurture, then content continues. Content is a backbone for everything, and it helps you sell much more. And that conversion cycle is shorter because of your content. But, outbound is not my thing. So when it comes to content, and you want to attract better leads, you need to be talking about the right things in your content. But you also need to look the part. So let's go to quality of your content first, right? When it comes to quality of your content, you can if you want to, but the best thing to do here is not to be talking about every single thing in your content. If we're going to still go back to the e-com coach. If I'm an e-com coach, e-com business coach specifically, first off, and my quality of my content, if I'm an e-com business coach, I need to have, specifically this niche, quality of my content needs to be high. It needs to be high because if I'm helping businesses, right? Not e-com specifically, because you could be a smart person helping out businesses, but you're kind of here. You just need to show that you know what you're talking about and have some proof of concept. But if I'm an e-com business coach specifically, I need to live that life, because if I'm helping people in that capacity, I obviously have ran a successful e-com coaching business, right, to where I'm here in terms of high perceived value. So you need to have high perceived value on your page. Now, whether or not you're that or not doesn't matter, because social media is really a fake world. It's not even real. So you need to have high perceived value on your page, meaning that, if you're an e-com business coach, have the fancy stuff, show yourself, going here, going there, different stuff like that. Same thing if you're any type of business coach niche, you need to have these types of things for your content. That way, when you run ads, they come back, they see these things, and then, it adds into your perceived value. So the quality of your content matters. You should not be posting you in the trailer park. Post it up. You should not be taking pictures unless you're working out and your shoes are dirty and your clothes are dirty and you look a hot mess. It doesn't make any sense, right? It just doesn't add up. People are not going to believe you, and it's just going to defeat the whole purpose. Now, what you also need to have is you need to have top of funnel, middle of funnel, and then bottom of funnel content. Let me explain this. So we have, some people call this tofu, mofu, and bofu. I'm just going to say tof, moth, and both. So basically, top of funnel is going to be your attraction content. So it's going to be that content that you're doing. Typically, most of the time, it is like 5th grade reader friendly. And it's going to be that content to where you're posting it, and its whole purpose is just to attract more people. That's the viral content, right? The content that you want to kind of go viral, right? That's just to bring people to your page. It's like, it's awareness. It's awareness content, really. So that's the top of funnel content. And really, examples could be popular trends. When I say in popular trends, I'm not saying you freaking taking the TikTok trend and repurposing it and you're doing, no. What I'm saying here is the popular concept of the clone videos, right? That can be your top of funnel, an example of top of funnel content. Or comparison videos, that can be another example of the top of funnel content, because you're using a trend that is well known, and people like that type of content. And on top of that, the concept that you're talking about in that video is like it's like a broad concept. So again, if I'm an e-com business coach, I'm probably talking about how to set up the structure, or not, no, actually I'm not talking about the structure. I'm probably saying something like how to set up your business. So I'm making generalized content, but I'm maybe not specifying it specifically to ecom, right? I may be keeping it generalized to where I'm attracting a lot of people, and then how the algorithm works and how things like that over time, as I'm feeding more top of funnel content, my middle of funnel content, when I'm getting a little bit more specific with my niche, will it's going to get skewed because of my top of funnel content performing so high. So if my top of funnel content gets 1 million and my usual middle of funnel content gets 5,000 because I had that 1 million video, I'm telling you this is how social media works. That middle funnel content will increase to where instead of getting 5,000, maybe you'll get 50,000 because of the fact that you had that top of funnel generalized content, right? So that's what you want to go for. More broad topics, more broad like trends that are proven to work online in certain niches, and then you go from there. Now, middle funnel content is going to be your content to where that's when you niche it down, so it's still these type of trends, but it's more niche specific. So you're getting a little bit, you're speaking a little bit more to your ICP, right? So it still has those chances of going viral, et cetera. But again, that's not what we're aiming for here. We're business owners. We want to increase the amount of cash that we're making. Unless you're one of my B2C clients, and of course we're doing both. But for B2B, right, you definitely want to focus more on the money than anything. And then as you continue to climb, trust me, that content in your presence will grow. But middle funnel is niche specific, right? So if I'm an ecom business coach, then I start talking about, hey, this is exactly how you do X, Y, and Z in the ecom coaching business. This is how you fulfill your ecom coaching clients. This is how you attract more ecom coaching clients, right? I'm getting more specific with what my offer is. That way, I'm speaking more to those people that followed me from that top of funnel content. Now, when you go to bottom of funnel, I hope I'm explaining everything correctly. If I'm not, just comment below what I didn't really touch on specifically for you, so that way I can actually send you a video on how to do this, or just get even more specific on this, because I do that. I do those things that I'm on, right? Bottom of funnel content is going to be, this is going to really like where you're nurturing those people that actually have followed you. Like these people, they really like you for you. They like the content that you produce, and they're like, and this is where you can get a little bit more personal. So these are things like really just talking heads, when you start ranting about different things. These are going to be more personalized, right? So these are going to be more personalized to what you're actually, your lifestyle, who you are as an individual. This is when you're actually talking to your people. When you had posts and they had comments on the posts and they said certain things, this is when you're going to be talking about those, you're going to be addressing those questions that they had. So you're going to be more personalized with it, right? So it's super important to do this. And then your bottom of funnel content is also really like your nurturing content. And this is going to be more so what I suggest to be the content that you produce to drive leads. So you're going to drive more leads with these. These are going to be your lead generating posts. Your middle funnel content can also be your lead generating post, where you're drawing them to lead magnets or whatever the case. But this bottom of funnel content is also going to be the content that you are driving people to your sales process. So if it's like, DM me the word this or whatever, for this case, ecom business coach, right? I'll be making a post about really walking them through the exact step-by-step play and getting more specific with it. And then I'm going to say, DM me the word ecom or DM me the word scale if you're looking to scale your business in the next 90 days, something like that, right? I'm going to get more. This is where so I'm just taking them through this funnel. I'm attracting them first. Then I'm driving them and showing them like, hey, I actually am credible. I know what the freak I'm talking about. And then from there, I'm like, hey, okay, now I've shown you that I know what the freak I'm talking about. Now come to my actual sales process so I can sell you, and so you can actually get this work. That's how that works, right? And that's your content, and you need that in place, because some people don't have this, and so you may book people from ads, then they see your content like, oh, this person doesn't really know. Or you don't have content to share with them, so they're like, oh, this person actually doesn't have anything that is proven that they're an authority, so they either cancel the call or they show up and they hit you with an objection. They're saying, oh, well, I haven't really seen much about what you've done. I haven't really heard of you. I haven't really done X, Y, and Z. And it's probably because your sales process was freaked and you didn't actually send them pre-call nurture videos. But then if you didn't have any content, you didn't have any videos to send them. So there you go, right? So you just bit yourself in the, in the booty because that wasn't in place and you didn't have that properly done. Now, let's hop into ads. And this is what you've been waiting for, the nitty gritty. But if you didn't skip to this part, I'm super, super proud of you, because the fact that you really needed to watch all parts before this to really get an idea of what you need to be doing when it comes to attracting better leads. And the whole point of me going through the tofu, mofu, and bofu, or toff, moth, and boff, was because of the fact that your high quality leads will come for your boff content, your bofu content. They're not going to come for your top of funnel content, which is why you shouldn't be trying to get leads from your top of funnel content unless it's like a email list or something that you're trying to build, because of the fact that those people aren't really your ideal client profile. So if I'm creating lead generating posts, they're going to come from my middle funnel content or my bottom of funnel content, because those people are actually my ideal audience, right? So I hope you guys watch that part. But anyway, ads, okay? This is super, super important. Now there's tons of technicalities that I can get into when it comes to Pixel and conversion API keys and how to do that right in Meta Ads Manager and stuff like that. But that stuff really doesn't matter because it's 2026. If you're watching this in 2027, this probably still applies, but it's 2026. And the new update is going off of Andromeda. So let me actually explain what Andromeda is, right? It's what they did. I'm going to tell you why they did this update, because Meta wants more money. I'm going to tell you why they did this, because what they noticed was people are now starting to run more and more ads. They're like, okay, how do I make this easier for everyday people to run ads and make money from ads, to where they run ads for a month and they don't stop, and they stop, or they don't stop. So they did this because they want more money. How do I make it easier for people? Because I get rid of all these other back-end complications. AI is getting better, technology is advancing. I get rid of all these back-end complications that says, hey, you need to do pixel tracking. You need to know how to do step-by-step instead of your ads. You need to do proper targeting and do the interest, right? No, because they want more money. So what they did was, now, instead of focusing so much on the targeting aspect and everything else, right? How do I drive more money to me? I make it easier for everyday people, everyday business owners to actually use ads. What that means is you're going to focus more on the ad creatives, right? And this is why I'm saying don't be afraid to run ads, because they work, yes. But before I even go further, yes, you still need to, don't just run and launch an ad campaign and you have no targeting, nothing set up, because no, don't do that. And if you do know about that stuff, using that plus this, what I'm about to give you, this sauce, good job, all right? But with that being said, Andromeda, right? So ad creatives. When it comes to the actual ad creatives, that's the only thing I want to talk about in this video, because other stuff is just too many videos. If you really want to get that sauce, just click the link below, book a call with me, and then we'll talk about what we would actually do for your business to grow it using all this stuff. But anyway, with that being said, ad creatives, right? So when it comes to the ad creative itself, which is going to ultimately drive traffic to your page, and this really depends on what type of ads you're creating, whether they're follower ads, DM ads, whatever the case, but this stuff still applies. So with that, you need to have proper ICP call out, which is why, again, if I was the e-com coaching business, I would say, literally, in the ad, some of the ads I would call them out, but on the screen as an on-screen text hook and not verbally, right? But I still would have stuff to call out. You do need to call out your target audience, so your ICP. So you're gonna say, you're an e-com coach stuck at 10K a month, and you've been stuck at 10K a month for the past, let's say, for the past year, and you don't know how to grow, which is going to be great. That's an accurate, you could definitely, oh my gosh, that you could test out, because a person that's been struggling with something for more than 6 months or even more than 3 months, really, you know that they need help. They need assistance. But they're looking for the right person, which is a lot of reasons why people don't purchase or buy or even opt in, because they're looking for that right person that speaks to them. So if you're an e-com coach and you've been stuck at 10K a month for the past 6 months now, or for the past year, and you know that you need X, Y, and Z, and you've been getting unqualified leads and you've been dealing with blah, 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 right? then you're speaking directly to your ICP because they're struggling with these pain points, which is, again, that points to my other thing that you need in your ad creatives. You need to speak to your pain points. So when I'm saying this is the only thing that you need to do when you're doing the ads, because of the I'm gonna update because I'm getting a little bit off on a tangent. But when you're, I hope I'm keeping you like looped in though. But when you're doing this, you want to speak to them, and then what you're going to do is you're going to, let's just say you're spending $20 a day, because that's like what I see a lot, very common. But I'll tell you this, you need to spend at least $30 a day. So $30 a day, we'll actually do just $30 a day, right? And that's not bad. That's $900, right? And if you're feeling a little frisky, just do $1,000 a month, right? But $30 a day, and these are going to be for follower ads, DM ads, things like this. Retargeting ads are a lot less, right? And that's just where you retargeting some of your best content to the people that are following you, etc., driving them in more. That's when you're retargeting your middle of funnel and bottom of funnel content to your followers. They're retargeting ads, and you're spending less on that. But anyway, all right, $30 a day, new stuff. You need to, if you're doing $30 a day, and then you can split this up. So if I was doing $100 a day, you would just triple the amount that I'm about to go over. So if you're doing $30 a day, you need to have, this is, and some people might fight me on this, but you need to have about 5 to 8 different creatives. You can really call it 10, but I'm gonna just say 5 to 8 creatives. And this is because, right, with that being said, if you do 5, you're spending $6 between each creative when it first starts off. But what Meta does is it will push more of the traffic to the winning ad. And then, of course, you always have to be tracking it, looking to your ads manager, making sure that it's doing these things, because I don't trust technology, so I'm always going to double check. But 5 to 8 creatives. And with those creatives, all you're doing, look, bro, all you're doing is testing out 5 different pain points. 5 different pain points of your ICP that they're facing. And what I want you to do is I want you to do all of those in video format. Listen to me clearly. Do videos. And after you do the videos, you're going to see the top one, the top 1 to 2 performing creatives from that, which means your 1 to 2 top pain points of your target audience. And then what you're going to do is you're going to make more content like that and dive deeper into those, because now you're marketing to a cold audience. And things are organic, it's warm, it's hot, right? Ads are cold. They're a cold audience. People that know nothing about you. They have no idea who the freak you are. They don't care unless you actually prove that you can help them, right? And so after you do the video ads, the 5 video ads, now you're going to figure out, okay, your top 1 to 2 performers. And then from those top 1 to 2 videos that perform the best, now you're going to do variations of those ads that you ran. And when I say variations, I'm talking about if your top performing one was a person that said they were stuck, let's just say your e-com coach said, I'm just sick of dealing with, I'm not going to say what I was about to say. I was about to say something very rude. Say you're sick of dealing with people that they can't afford it, right? You're sick of dealing with people that can't afford it. So now, right, what you're going to do is now you're going to create 5 more creatives with the same ad spend. So you're going to redo it, but you're going to this time. And then what I would do actually is now I would have a scaling campaign. So you're going to have a test campaign. You're going to have a scaling campaign, like that, 2 different campaigns where you don't want to make things too complicated for yourself. So now what you're going to do though, if you want to still stick with $30 a day, you want to target the one that's winning, right? So 5 different ones, again, $6 a day split between 1, and they're going to do different variations. When I say variations, I mean, okay, now we're going to do a B-roll video, right? That's of the same pain point of people that can't afford it. If you're now the B-roll is going to have text on it, and it's going to be like, I don't know if you guys know B-roll video. B-roll is just a video of you having some background content. So maybe it's you walking somewhere, whatever the case is. Maybe it's you riding on a jet ski, whatever it is. Now you have text pop up on the screen. That's B-roll content. So B-roll content, excuse me, so sorry. B-roll content, and then you're going to have, let's say, still photo. So maybe it's a photo of you, right, of you. And then you're going to have a actual photo of like a plain background, a plain Canva, like a plain Canva photo, and it has maybe a black or white background and it just has text on it. That's a different video. Then maybe you just do another type of video. Maybe you have a cloned video. Maybe you have a different type of photo, a different type of B-roll. I'm trying to think about different content formats, but that's pretty much what I came up with, and that's pretty much what I do. So yeah, that's it. I'm just trying to tell you, like, this is the method. I hope that all made sense to you, because this is the entire method. You have to have your offer dialed in to get the right leads that you want to deal with. You have to know who you don't deal with, so that way when you have your qualification forms and all that stuff, what I've talked about in so many different videos, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go ahead and watch those videos. So qualification for seriousness, budget, and timeline, right? And so after that, they come to your content, or they come to your ads, either way, but they come to your content like, okay, cool. This person knows what they're talking about. They're speaking to me. Nice. Perfect. Okay. Ads, people don't know about you, but you're speaking exactly to them. And now you use your money to the best benefit possible, which is the B-roll, the different the scaling campaign, right? And it's scaling your ads. And so from now you actually are using the drama update to your benefit, right? And now you're happy, because now you're like, damn, I spent $1,000 and I got $5,000 to $10,000 back, or even more. Because pretty much what happens is, if you're running a $30 a day ad budget, you're probably gonna get at least $5K from that if you have your offer dialed in, your price points and stuff like that, right? So you can always just use that and dump it right back into ads and scale your ads that way. But don't scale on DM and follower ads. Well, don't scale on DM ads. You can scale on follower ads, but scale on VSL ads, stuff like that, because it just makes everything much more seamless, operational, operating like a business. When you're starting, do this. Or when you're trying to scale outside of content or scale outside of ads, stick to everything I just told you. Hope this video helps. If you guys are interested in more implementation, more hands-on implementation, how to actually do these things, how to use more of this, and if you're trying to get to a point to where you're not wasting time anymore, you're not wasting money anymore, scroll down below, book a call with me or my team. I will be there to help you. I will walk you through the entire process. I will make you a tailored game plan in terms of how to actually grow your specific offer, whether you're a coach or service provider. And I'm going to scale you in the next 90 days because I have an unbelievable guarantee behind it, right? Because it just makes so much sense, because I know what freak I'm talking about. So if this is you, and you're watching the video like, dang, Jasmine, first of all, you're cute. First of all, second, I actually like what you're talking about. You're keeping it real. Don't actually book a call with me if you think I'm cute. Like, that doesn't matter. I actually don't want that. But but as my personality. But yeah, if this is you, seriously, book a call with me below, and then I'll speak to you. We'll talk. We'll see if this is a good fit. If you actually are my ICP, right, and people that I help and serve. And if you're not, then I'll just redirect you to more of my free content. But if you're watching this, you made it all the way to the end, you're probably interested in this, and you probably are. So just go ahead, scroll down below.